We're going to talk now to Steven Woolfe. He is a migration expert, former MEP, Director of the Centre for Migration and Economic Prosperity, about a couple of stories. Steven, thank you for joining us, because trafficking suspects are facing a ban on the travel and the internet. Is this something that you think is a good thing, or is it a worrying erosion of their civil liberties?
Actually, it's a very interesting point that you raised there, Peter, because I considered this over the weekend when we were looking at the research before we published our data on people smuggling profits since 2018, which, by the way, is £1 billion that they've made since 2018. And that is true. I think it has some impact in being able to identify those people in this country that might be benefiting from that £1 billion, but it won't do anything for the vast numbers of people involved in the smuggling lines that from Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq and Turkey all the way down to the French coast. So in that respect, I think it'll have a minimal impact. My deepest concern about it, though, in terms of the civil liberties argument, and for 1 minute, I don't believe anyone involved in people smuggling should have the same levels of civil liberty when they're going to be entrenching many of those migrants into servitude, is that it's something that doesn't have to go before the courts, and by way of extension, by allowing it into our common law, could be extended across many other crimes. That's where I'm more worried about.
Yeah, it's interesting that as well, because once you start doing this with people who are suspected, not arrested, not charged, not convicted, I do wonder if there will be other ways in which law enforcement will want to use this. And listen, I hold absolutely no truck, as I know you're quite the opposite. In fact, your work every day is to stop this happening, Steven. And I know that these people these traffickers are absolute scumbags, and I don't think they should have any rights. But we do have to follow the process of law, especially when you see the true extent of this. And I know on your website as well, you're talking, as you referenced there, the New Year's figures on Channel Migrants, including new figures. There are graphics on there as well showing people smugglers have made £1 billion since 2018, as you say. And now we know the Channel migrant crossings have surged by nearly a third under Starmer as well.
Absolutely. I mean, we look at the numbers now since 2008. The cost to the taxpayer is over £15 billion just in the first year for those numbers. And I think we put in that there's over 151,000 that have come across. We look at the deaths that have occurred in the channel, and those are in several hundreds of numbers. And I said that there's blood on the hands of anybody that's been preventing the deterrence that's needed to stop those people smugglers gaining the profits and putting people across. So we have to do something. And I think the problem with the way that people will look at this, and in this respect, you might find surprising that I'm not totally opposed to the Labour Party trying to conjure up new ideas, but these ideas are actually initially thought of in the days of Priti Patel and were poo-pooed by many members of the opposition. So I think they have to get real about how they deal with this. It's either breach our general common law principles of fair play to deal with these nasty individuals, or actually go much further and actually prevent them with deterrence. And I'd much rather they have an agreement in place with France that we could return them to the borders of France, and then work with France and other countries in Europe to start moving them back towards the countries where they originated from.
Steven, thank you very much. Happy New Year to you. That's Steven Woolfe, who's a migration expert, former MEP, Director of the Centre for Migration and Economic Prosperity.